It is now over. It is the end for Nissan. It just closed its first factory built outside of Japan. Car production will come to an end at the 60-year-old factory, which is in Mexico. On top of that, Nissan is losing $500 million per quarter right now. So it's looking terrible for legacy automakers, and even Mercedes here has temporarily halted EV orders in the US, the company says, is because of slowing demand and high inventories at dealerships. In the meantime, Tesla just updated its Robotaxi pricing in Austin. Tesla's Robotaxi ride pricing is no longer capped at $6.90 per ride. The new dynamic pricing system will now give you a lower price for shorter rides and a higher price for longer rides. For example, this 11-mile trip was $13.70. And for that, worked it out to be about 20% less than Uber. But Waymo's pricing is basically the same as Uber in Austin, and that might have something to do with Waymo providing its services through Uber. How do you undercut Uber if you're using Uber to provide your services? And then Tesla Chan suggests that there are rumors that Tesla China's Giga Shanghai affordable model entered final assembling line. At first, I wanted to totally dismiss that post because Tesla said that it's not going to launch that more affordable model anytime soon, really. It'll be closer to the end of the year. And then Tesla Chan posted that the 6-seater Model Y rumor was also correctly rumored at first by that friend that he's using as a source. From Tesla, we heard that Tesla is certainly exploring an option to produce a smaller and perhaps probably more mainstream pickup truck, which maybe would look something more similar to all other Tesla vehicles. And Gary Black is definitely really excited about that if Tesla actually ends up following through with it. Because Gary believes that a smaller pickup truck would be a compelling new form factor which could significantly expand Tesla's total addressable market, and not only that, also earnings. Gary estimates that a smaller pickup could add 420,000 incremental units per year to Tesla's deliveries with little or no cannibalization given the current limited consumer appeal of the Tesla Cybertruck. Now, the way I saw Lars talk about the smaller pickup truck, I'm not so sure that Tesla is going to give any priority to that really, but if they do, I'm all for it. But at the moment, it seems like the company is just totally focused on the Robotaxi deployment and FSD improvement, as well as the Tesla bot. And everything else that's not that seems to be secondary or not even that important at all, with the exception of Tesla Energy. And if you look at Tesla's earnings report, it would appear at first that the growth of Tesla's energy business, specifically the Megapacks, has slowed down significantly. However, I don't think that's the case. I think they are just ramping up the new Megapack factory in Shanghai, and soon, quickly, we will see some great growth again. Because we now know that 5.5 months after the start of mass production, Tesla's new Megapack factory in Shanghai has built its 1,000th Megapack. And scaling from here on should be exponentially faster. And Lathrop can produce about 10,000 Megapacks per year. And this one right now is basically only at about 20-ish% of capacity. If we analyze this number, that would be 2,000. But actually, it's more than 20% capacity right now, because if you just produce the 1,000th Megapack, that means the run rate should be quite a bit more than that now, because you start at basically zero and then you slowly ramp up. So most of the Megapacks produced probably were produced in like the last month or two. In the last 2 months, I'm pretty sure they produced more Megapacks than in all of the 5.5 months. And then we got a good shout out here from Elon's friend and venture capitalist. He says that the Tesla Model Y is the best car he's ever owned, beating out Range Rover, Mercedes, Bentley, Ferrari, and more. No close competitor, he said. I certainly agree with that. For me, the main thing driving my Model Y is FSD. No doubt about it. But also, it's very comfortable. It's now pretty quiet. In fact, it's so quiet inside now, relatively speaking, that when I honked at someone, I wasn't even quite sure that I did. I knew I did, but the sound of the honk was so muted that I thought, there's no way I actually fully honked. And then I tried the window open, and no, the honk works definitely fine. Tesla previously received so many complaints about too much noise on the inside that they have done a really good job now. And also it's an EV, so it handles perfectly. The car actually feels really small, even though it's not small. And then Gary Vlad has a few thoughts about XAI, and so do I. Tesla should definitely invest into XAI, but he's saying putting a potential Tesla XAI, which includes X merger, to a shareholder vote. This is not a merger. What the heck is he talking about? I think this post is from the first day when the news basically was sort of announced that Elon would want shareholders to invest. And you would think that Gary would maybe point out that, okay, sure, it's not a merger, just an investment. Let's see if his mind changed at all. He now says, in the end, valuation always matters. Many Tesla bulls focus on the product, but don't attempt to answer the question whether Tesla is too expensive relative to its future growth. No, we do answer that question, and my strong belief is that the future growth is certainly worth the price that we pay today for Tesla stock in the long term. Second, many bulls naively assume unsupervised autonomy gets turned on by the flip of a switch, which is clearly incorrect given different state rules and regulations. If Tesla really makes it super safe, and clearly much, much safer than human driving, I think for most places in the US, I would give it no more than a year for Tesla to be able to successfully launch in every jurisdiction, basically, or most of them. And I think in the investment world and in this big business world, being able to launch like that in a year, I think that's really fast. That's almost like flipping the switch. Now, connecting the dots, account also replied earlier to Alexandra there. I have to object, he is not a clown, mostly operating through a tight set of rules, some of which self-imposed, others forced by his business. He is a fund manager after all, you do have to remember that. I do feel at times, how can he not see this about something, but then realize he chooses not to, it's filtered out. But the most interesting argument that Gary Black used here against Tesla investing into XAI, Alexander says that Gary Black is saying Tesla shareholders don't invest in XAI. It will grow much faster than Tesla over the next 5 years. So basically Gary Black thinks that actually investing into XAI is a good thing, no? Specifically what he said here, not sure why Elon would want to sell XAI now, since XAI likely to grow much faster than Tesla over the next 5 years. Acquisition by Tesla would allow Elon's stake in Tesla to increase to 20%. So this would be sort of Elon's way of getting his compensation package. Okay, so what I'm seeing here from Gary is that he's not really opposed actually to Tesla investing into XAI, but he is saying that institutions would generally oppose it. He's not saying that he would personally oppose it. From my understanding, he's actually for it because he thinks that XAI would grow faster than Tesla, and that putting this to a shareholder vote is the fairest way to resolve this. Yep, just remember, it's not a merger. It's just going to be an investment. Farzad here says that most of Tesla's market cap in the next 5 to 10 years will be because of AI. It makes sense for Tesla to own as much of the stack as possible long term, as long as it's the right stack with the good people, with the best possible equity that's dedicated to going after this market. Making their own chips, both for training and inference, makes perfect sense. And they should, given so much of their valuation is heavily dependent on it. I think one reason why actually Elon Musk wants to move away from TSMC is because it's on a certain island next to China that China wants to take. And Samsung basically wants to build that huge new factory right next to Elon's house. So China would have no impact on that specific factory. And now, if you could invest in one of these companies, which one would it be? SpaceX, XAI, Neuralink, the Boring Company? I think all of them are actually really good. Elon, I think at least for the next 5-ish years, out of all of these companies, he will probably spend most of his attention on XAI. And generally, with Elon, if he focuses on something, is going to get done, and that thing is going to grow like crazy. And then I think after that it's going to be SpaceX. So I would be thinking between these two companies, but because Elon would be spending the most amount of his time on XAI, I would pick XAI. But in the long term, I would pick SpaceX actually, if my investment horizon was more than just like, if I could first pick the first 5 years, XAI. After that, I'm probably going to SpaceX. Now, Farzad would do XAI for the next 10 years, SpaceX for the following 10. Basically, I would personally wait for like a huge growth spurt where we see a huge jump and then a plateau. The moment there's a plateau, I'm going to SpaceX, basically. If it's 4 years or 7 years, 8 years, or 6 years or 5 years. Because in the long term, we know that the thing that Elon is the most passionate about and the thing that he has the most interest in is definitely for sure 100% SpaceX. It's not any other company. His whole thing is about colonizing Mars. And with Elon's political ambitions, he would also probably have power to establish whatever government he wants over there in Mars. It might be actually easier for Elon to be like the president of Mars than the president of the US. And with the upcoming shareholder meeting, it is important to know how much of Tesla do retail Tesla stock investors actually own. And retail investors own 42% of Tesla shares, a higher percentage than retail investors hold in any other trillion-dollar companies. For example, Nvidia is just at about 27.5%. Microsoft is about 22%. Apple is about 32.5%. Amazon, 25, 26. Alphabet, so Google, it's about 15. Meta, whoa, no retail investor wants to touch Meta. Broadcom, and then Tesla, look at this, 42%. And Berkshire is also pretty high. But that makes sense because Warren Buffett talks to the media so much directly to the retail investors. Berkshire is at about 32.5%. And if we keep buying, maybe we can make this a majority retail-owned company. And check this out. Think Tesla looks bearish? Institutions do not agree. Tesla currently has a 98% upside score on Prospero, which means it's picking up lots of bullish activity on the options change. Well, that's interesting. And then LG Energy says that it has signed a $4.3 billion contract to supply lithium iron phosphate LFP batteries to a customer for energy storage systems over 3 years. And that customer is expected to be Tesla. What Tesla is doing here is diversifying its LFP supply away from China, de-risking the energy business ramp, which is certainly a good move. We are seeing Tesla move away from China more and more now. Samsung is definitely the underdog when it comes to chip making. They are the current supplier for Tesla's AI3 and AI4 chips, but have struggled ramping up their smaller process nodes with acceptable yields, while TSMC has excelled. Since AI4, Tesla has started using TSMC to fab their Dojo training chip. Originally, the rumor was that they would source AI5 from both TSMC and Samsung, but it looks like they decided to go exclusively with TSMC. TSMC will likely be able to deliver on AI5, no problem. With AI6 running on Samsung's new 2nm tech, it remains to be seen whether Samsung can deliver. Having Elon Musk walking the line in a bunny suit will hopefully help, but chip making is hard. There is a chance that if Samsung can deliver, they go with TSMC for AI6 as well. But if they can make it work with Samsung, there will definitely be some major advantages. And I think with Samsung, actually, they are very likely to make it work because it's going to be next to Elon's house. So Elon Musk said he will walk the line personally. And one of the advantages working with Samsung is that it will have fabs located in Texas, while TSMC's most advanced process nodes are on the island next to China that China wants to take. Not only is the latter close to where Tesla is making cars and robots, there's also significantly less risk of geopolitical disruption. Mexico invading Texas is less likely. Yep. More than that, Samsung's chip-making business is in a more desperate state right now. This helps Tesla secure better terms, and if they can help Samsung catch up with 2nm and become more competitive with TSMC, that will probably be good for the industry as a whole. That competition will drive more options and better terms for Tesla in the future, assuming Samsung can actually pull it off. And with the help from Elon Musk directly, my prediction is they will actually be able to pull it off. Someone here criticized Samsung that Samsung has no idea what they signed up for with the chip deal. Elon explains, no, they do. I had a video call with the chairman and senior leadership of Samsung to go over what a real partnership would be like, use the strengths of both companies to achieve a great outcome. Now, Hans has been grilling Grok about the pros and cons of using Samsung as opposed to TSMC for this partnership. And one of the cons that Grok identified was Samsung's more militaristic culture as compared to TSMC's much more customer-centric one. But really what Tesla is doing here is it is effectively vertically integrating into chip manufacturing without the risk. And then Prasad points out, what if Tesla/Samsung deal is Elon trying to hoard domestic chip production in case China invades the island and loses access to chip capacity for Robotaxi/bot? The limiting factor, again, says, I think what he's doing is trying to architect the relationship for maximum control over the manufacturing. If they swallow enough of Samsung's business, they wag the dog. The end result is most of the benefits of full vertical integration, but very little on the downside. Elon definitely likes to have total control over the most important assets of his business, and he's doing a great job here. Now, the thing was, if he was worried about the whole thing with China and the island, then TSMC wouldn't be the sole supplier for AI5, which it will be. But then also, it could be the demand for chips will be so insane, it makes sense to diversify suppliers. If you just work with one supplier forever and the other one is not really doing that well, what's going to happen to your pricing? Not good things are going to happen to it. So Elon here is getting Samsung up to speed to become a true competitor to TSMC, and competition, of course, drives prices lower and increases innovation. Tesla wins here. Now, also Elon said that Tesla is going to move production of AI5 to Arizona once they can, but initial production will come from the island next to China. Someone here says, oh, that talk over AI5 and now AI6 can be a bit concerning as a buyer. Tesla has long been understood as a vehicle you can buy and keep for a long time with regular updates, which includes FSD, and it's feeling like anything but this now. Not good. Every single year, my Hardware 3 Tesla Model 3 has gotten significantly better, especially FSD. So Tesla is going to make their products even better by making the hardware better and completely up to date using the absolute cutting edge technology. And that is somehow horrible. That Tesla is going to keep making the hardware better. Tech is always getting better. There are literal robotaxis running on AI4 right now. It's amazing to go and take a test drive or wait forever and drive manually the rest of your life. And this is quite a point. Tesla is the only vehicle you can buy that is outdated 10 years later. And then on the left here, you see an AI3 Model Y. On the right, you can see a Tesla Model Y with AI4, Hardware 4. Would any of the geniuses on X with their torches and pitchforks like to explain why one can be autonomous and the other can't? What's the difference? The thing is, you can definitely upgrade eventually all of the hardware is a point that Omar is trying to make here. It's not exactly going to be extremely easy to do all of these upgrades, but eventually it will be done. Now, someone is pointing out that the latest FSD version of Hardware 3 is vastly underappreciated, although the version has stayed the same for months. The driver experience improves each month, perhaps from server-side updates and model improvements. I'm not sure. I personally haven't noticed any improvements. Have you? If you have a hardware-free vehicle? Someone else says, the problem for Tesla is not that AI3 works fine in the US. They will not get an approval for AI3 in Europe, and that will be the biggest problem for Tesla in the near future. Omar asks, why would they be able to get approval for AI4 but not AI3? Both do the same thing. Well, AI4 does it better. So I would not be surprised at all if Hardware 3 vehicles are not approved. But the thing is, Tesla has already promised to later upgrade all of the hardware. Omar makes a pretty good point here. Chart out the rate of interventions for every FSD version from your personal experience if you have had these. Version 9, version 10, version 11, version 12, version 13. With each release, interventions became increasingly rare. Now imagine what the 10x bigger model on AI4 will do, and now imagine a model 10 times bigger than that on AI5, and then 10 times bigger than that on AI6. As inference and training power increase, these models will leave human drivers in the dust, no question about it. It is so obvious what is happening. Start preparing for an inevitable future where our computers can move around the real world safely alongside us, on our roads, on our sidewalks, in our homes, in our offices, and in the air eventually too. And then RBC Capital has raised its Tesla stock price target to 325 from 319 while maintaining an outperform rating. They say Tesla's valuation could far exceed current levels. Of course it will, in the long term for sure. The company's long-term upside lies in its future bets, robotaxis, full self-driving FSD, and humanoid robots. So all this is coming from Tom Narayan. He sees Tesla's Robotaxi project as a major long-term growth driver. The company's first service, launched in Austin, has already expanded rapidly without major safety issues. Tests are now running in places like California, Florida, and Nevada, and Tesla hopes to cover half the US population by the end of the year. Now, I don't think that this will actually happen, but will Tesla expand its robotaxi service before the year ends noticeably? I believe so. Narayan believes Tesla could outpace rivals thanks to its simpler, more affordable tech and a custom-designed robotaxi known as a Cybercab. If the rollout succeeds, he estimates the robotaxi business alone could generate nearly $190 billion in annual revenue by 2040. That is quite an understatement. In the meantime, Waymo announced an expansion in Dallas. It partnered with Avis. They will launch by 2026. Oh, check this out. Rivian ADAS only works on pre-mapped highways. Tesla FSD works on pretty much any road you can find. Take control of this vehicle. Road information unavailable. Oh well. I found this. I thought it's rather funny. There's a battle between two Waymos here. Takes a good 30 seconds roughly to resolve the situation. Oh, actually, it doesn't get resolved because this car starts driving back. Now, just to be fair, I think as Tesla scales quite a bit more, we will see funny situations like this too. But right now it's happening to Waymo, and hopefully Tesla... I think Tesla's models are going to be certainly quite a bit more advanced because it's using more advanced AI and LiDAR. I mean, if you use a model that's not that smart, you can have the best sensor and it's not going to really help you. So I think Teslas will not get themselves into situations like this. Nowhere near as often as Waymos get themselves in these situations. We got Tesla's deliveries from China, 10,700 registrations for the previous week. Not a bad week. So far, we have 45% more deliveries quarter over quarter. And here's some good news for Tesla. Model Y rated highest in safety in this test. This rating is from IIHS. Well, this is certainly impressive. The Boring Company's Vegas loop system recently earned a near perfect score of 99.51% upon completing the Department of Homeland Security's base assessment for safety and security, the highest score awarded for any transportation system, achieving a gold standard award for excellence. Also, the Boring Company, founded by Elon Musk, officially announced its plans to build an underground tunnel system in Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, and then here is Tesla testing their seats and rubbing jeans on seats. I do have a friend who has a Model X that he got in 2022, and he likes to wear jeans, and the seats where he sits look a little bluish. Definitely not a thing that you want to happen to your seats, but I assume these newer seats are going to be significantly better because the seats from 2022, if you wear jeans, the white ones, I certainly do not recommend these to you. And then currently Grok can actually make videos. This is still rather in beta, and on the right side you can see a product from Google, and on the left is a video from Grok. Sawyer used the exact same still image and the exact same prompt, and here's what he got from Grok and then Google. Elon replied to this saying Grok Imagine is still early beta and is optimized for maximum fun, so it should be evaluated as fastest time to make a fun, shareable video rather than visual/auditory perfection. Our heavy-duty video model will train on the 110K GB200s coming online next month. So that's going to make a big difference. In the meantime, you can make some pretty good videos with Grok already. You just need to do it right. For example, this is a video made by Grok of a Tesla bot in a field of flowers. Looks pretty good to me. Oh, and this is Elon Musk's iconic childhood photo brought to life by Grok Imagine. This actually looks pretty decent. Now the face doesn't, like the mouth, it doesn't really move, but other than that, it looks pretty decent. I'm sure if you look closely, you will find anomalies, but it's not like overly obvious. The annoying thing is, basically we are entering the time during which we will not be able to tell if the video is real or not. Was it actually filmed? Is it AI? For now, with most videos, you can still kind of tell, and largely you can tell from the shadows, because the shadows usually are the parts that are totally messed up. Not so much in this case though, because you can see the hand and then you can see the shadow here actually, but often with some of these videos, you can tell the shadows are a bit weird. But yeah, it's gonna be a strange time. Until just now recently, if you saw a video of something, you knew it happened. Now, you won't anymore. This is going to be a little bit like being back in really what the human civilization has experienced for most of its history and existence. You only had someone else's word to rely on and trust, and whoever is telling you whatever, they could just make something up, and then, you know, you could be told invaders are coming, and maybe no one is actually coming. But if one day they show up in front of your door, you know, okay, that threat was real. But if no one shows up, then how would you know if the thing that you were told is actually true or not? So I think the people that are really freaking out about all of this AI stuff, saying that this is somehow something that our species hasn't really seen before, or that it's so new and is going to destroy everything, I really don't buy that argument, because if you think about it, for most of our history, human beings have been making stuff up, telling made-up stories to control the narrative, and now they will basically be able to do the same thing, except with AI video. So you could say, this happened because there's a video, but now we all know maybe it didn't happen. Now the thing is, with this new model that Elon made, it works fast. It's the fastest generation model that Omar has ever used so far. This gives us good insight into how Elon Musk sees his teams and how he manages them. So someone here from XAI posted, "We at XAI are looking for researchers and engineers for scaling up our real life environments," I believe he says, "with user feedback and preference in the loop. Apply here." Then Elon replies with this false nomenclature of researcher and engineer, which is a thinly masked way of describing a two-tier engineering system, is being deleted from XAI today. There are only engineers. Researcher is a relic term from academia. And then Elon follows up with, "SpaceX does more meaningful cutting-edge research on the advancement of rockets and satellites than all the academic university labs on Earth combined. But we don't use the pretentious low accountability term researcher. Engineer. Engineer is the term that Elon Musk uses and assigns to his whole team at XAI." And then quickly, this was indeed corrected. A correction, looking for solid engineers. And then check this out. The US Environmental Protection Agency, so EPA, has officially announced a proposal to rescind the landmark legal opinion that underpins virtually all of its regulations to curb climate change. The move would end EPA regulations on greenhouse gases emitted by cars, while also undercutting rules that limit power plant emissions and control the release of methane by oil and gas companies. If this EPA proposal proceeds, there will be no legal pressure for automakers to reduce CO2 pollution. It also declares that CO2 from vehicles does not endanger human health and welfare. Now, I don't know if you just stand right next to a tailpipe of a gas vehicle, and if you breathe in whatever is coming out of there directly, obviously I'm not a doctor or a scientist to tell you that that's dangerous, but I know it's dangerous. You would have to be an absolute stupid moron to sit next to that tailpipe and then breathe in that freshly generated air from the vehicle. Definitely don't do that. That's definitely dangerous. And sure, maybe the CO2 by itself is not, but there is a lot more stuff going on there than just generating CO2. Oh, this is interesting news. Zuckerberg just poached the 4th AI researcher from Apple. Meta first poached Apple AI chief for 200 million, then poached 2 more from that team. Apple has been marginally increasing the pay for AI staff. But Omar does have a pretty decent point here. Poaching an AI researcher from Apple is like poaching the head of propulsion from Nikola. That's a good one, Omar. That's a good one. But possibly the most surprising thing is that Apple has AI researchers. I mean, Siri, does anyone have a good experience with Siri? And make sure to like this video, especially if you appreciate timestamps. Every single video lately, I included timestamps in every video, and it's not exactly easy to put these together. So make sure to click the like button if you appreciate those, or if you like me to keep including those, because it does take some extra time. And I personally believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share, and then after that, well above it. My name is Matt Posius. Make sure to, again, like and subscribe. And then I post all my videos on Rumble. If you do use Rumble, you can watch all my videos over there as well. There's a link down below in the comment section to follow me on Rumble. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with another video probably on Friday.